Hello, I'm Hooving with a small collection, and behind me is my collection. Well, not all my collection. Mainly just the Big Finish series, which is what we'll talk about today as we go on. A little introduction before we get into the timeline stuff. So, what is Big Finish? Big Finish is a British audio company, mainly producing such IPs as Doctor Who and Blake 7, to name a few. It's called Big Finish due to Stephen Moffat, of all people. Before he was writing Matt Smith and Capaldi, he suggested the name after watching some Press Gang, which is quite interesting, I have to say. Not gonna lie. If you see I'm looking up there a lot, it's because my script's up there. I am bleh when it comes to remembering lines. So, yeah, so we'll see how it goes. In 1998, they got their first Doctor Who related character, being Bennie Summerfield, who we'll talk about later, and in 1999 secured rights to 3 Doctors and a couple of companions, and the rest is, well, history. Anyway, enough with the history lesson. So, why are we all here? Well, I'll tell you why we're here. We're here because of the timeline theory. Now, the timeline theory is what I'm going to call it, is putting every single Doctor Who related media into one whole timeline. I know there'll be some retcons along the way, but it's a timeline. It can easily diverge, or or it can easily be retconned along the time because it's a time travel show. So everything did happen. Basically, I, along with many others, love to put every single story from like the beginning all the way to Empire Death. I just love it. I've made my own. So what we're doing throughout this video series is we will be putting every single Big Finish, and every single Doctor Who story from TV into one whole timeline. But before we start, 2 things. One, why only Big Finish? Well, to me, as you can see, I'm a huge fan of Big Finish. I feel like I can really understand where it goes in certain places of timeline. For example, I know where these stories coming up we're going to be doing, and I know where, for example, Robots goes, or I know exactly where the Gallifrey series goes. I know all that. What I don't know is the books. I'm not a very big reader. I'm not really like a huge picking up a book and reading sort of person. So like stuff like Barrow or like, I don't know, Asylum, like those books are not going to be in this timeline. I just don't think I can do them justice, and I don't think they are necessary for what I'm going to be doing in this video series. And the other thing is this video series is highly inspired by the podcast and the segments from a podcast called Finish Big and the segments called Mark's Chronology Moment. Now, these segments and this whole podcast I highly recommend. They are going through every single Big Finish story from every single IP and every single range. They are currently on the back end of 2003, but they are highly detailed review videos and very fucking funny, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I cackle when I listen to them sometimes, and it's not even a joke. Highly recommend. Please go and check them out. They are amazing. And if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be making this timeline series. So, in 1998, we have Oh No It Isn't, Beyond the Sun, and Walking to Babylon. So, who is Bennie Summerfield? That is the key question we need to work out where she goes in our timeline. Well, Bennie Summerfield is a book companion, introduced in Love and War, which was adapted by Big Finish, the 9th book in the Virgin New Adventures series. You see, after the cancellation, these books were a way to continue the show. They were too broad, too deep for the small screen. Ish. Anyway, so that settles it then. Oh No It Isn't must come after Survival, as that is the last classic episode to broadcast. Of course, there is a huge gap in between Survival and Oh No It Isn't, obviously, as we haven't had any Bennie Summerfield stories meeting with 7th Doctor to fit in there yet. And of course, there'll be a huge gap after the end of this series of Bennie Summerfield to the TV movie. So then that just leaves Beyond the Sun and Walking to Babylon. Now, if they follow on from Oh No It Isn't, then surely they must follow on after, in that gap. And Walking to Babylon is the start of a trilogy, so expect more to fit in that gap along the way. Now, that just leaves our timeline looking like this. Survival, Oh No It Isn't, Beyond the Sun, Walking to Babylon, and then the TV movie. Now, of course, there are still huge gaps to fill in between Survivor and Oh No It Isn't and Walking to Babylon to the TV movie. But if you wanted to do a marathon in 1998 with all fully acted stuff, that would be how you do it. You would have Survival, Oh No It Isn't, Walking to Babylon, Beyond the Sun, Walking to Babylon, and then the TV movie. I know this video is rather short, as there is only 3 releases I can talk about for this timeline. However, if you want to continue following the series, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time, where we talk about the 1999 era, with 4 stories, a bit more than 3 I guess, but this time it has the 5th, the 6th, the 7th Doctor, and Bennie Summerfield again. So I'll see you next time, alright?